Hi everyone. Today we're going to do something a little bit different than usual for a video. I have a performance problem in a GHC patch that I've been working on, and I would like to solve it. And so this is going to be sort of an exploration. I don't really know where things are going to go. There might be some dead time while I have to think really hard, things like that. But I'm going to walk through the process of trying to fix a performance bug. I have no idea what's going to happen here or where it's going to go, but it should hopefully be a fun adventure. And so things look a little bit different. I need to be working on my bigger monitor than I normally make these recordings in, so you might need to go full screen or something like that. I apologize if things are too small. Although what you're seeing now is not representative. This is the font size that we'll see. So hopefully you can read what's on the screen right now. There's going to be some more code that appears in a few minutes. So let me make this a whole lot bigger for everyone. Okay, so this is the patch that I'm working on. I don't want to get into the details of what the patch is about, but we have a performance problem. And the way I know we have a performance problem is that every time we submit a patch, we get CI results. So here, the pipeline failed. So let's look at this pipeline. And let's see, this is the right commit, it looks like. And this is loading slowly. Okay, so let's see what's wrong. This is the one that went wrong. And we will see here in a moment exactly what happened. Let's see, loading. Everything is very slow. My computer is also quite laden trying to record this, so things are a little slower than usual for me. So there's a whole bunch of sort of tests that failed, but that's actually not so much what I'm worried about. A lot of these are, error messages that have changed or something. I have to fix that, but right now I'm confident I can fix that. Instead, I really want to focus on, actually all of these are fragile test passes and stat failures. So I fixed all the error messages, I take that back, but there's still some stat changes that are bad. And let's take a look at what they are. So here, what we have here in this column here, this rightmost column, is the percentage change from the baseline. And what we see here is like on this test case, we have an increase of 5.8% of allocation. So this is the number of bytes that GHC has to allocate as it's compiling this file. So that's pretty bad. It's T5642. So my first step is to see, can I reproduce this outside of this CI infrastructure? But by the way, also telling us, look, there's pluses all up and down the board. So what I've done is clearly a really bad idea. But this is one where it's worse than usual, and so maybe it can help me debug it better. Okay, so it's 5642. What I've done before starting to record this video is I've pre-cooked up a bunch of different built trees in different configurations. And so this should allow me to see what's going on easily. Let's see, can I get multiple different separate shells in Emacs? I don't think I can. At least I don't know how to. That's okay. Let me SSH into Twig here. That's going to take just a moment. And you know what I'm going to do over here? Instead of shell, I will do bash. Is that a thing? Oh, what's the other command for getting a shell? Shoot, there's some other command in Emacs to get a shell. I don't remember what it is. Term. It's term. Just came to me in a flash of insight. And that may be a way I can get two different shells going. Yes, because I need two different shells here. Okay, so here I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at master perf. So this is the baseline. This does not have my patch, but it's pre-built to be the commit just before my patch. And so I want to compile that test case. So let's go into test suite. Why isn't that working? What am I doing wrong? Test suite. Oh, does it not have autocomplete? That's very annoying. Tests, and then it's going to be in perf, compiler, and what did I say it was? It was 5642. So let's take a look at 5642 here. So we're going to run GHC master perf in place bin GHC stage 2 T5, oh, I've forgotten it again, 5642.hs. Does that actually do a thing? Yes, it does do a thing. Excellent. Let's force recomp. And then I'm going to do plus RTS-S. And so what that does is that will report some performance statistics. So what I'm really concerned by is the bytes allocated in the heap. So it says that this many bytes have been allocated in the heap. Okay, so I'm on the same machine right now. And so let me go into CD GHC. Now I'm going to do GHC perf. Perf stands for performance. This is an optimized build. And let's go into test suite. Oh, this one has autocomplete. That's fun. Tests, perf, compiler, and let's see, GHC perf, in place, bin, GHC stage 2. That was weird. Stage 2. I don't know why it's going to the next line, but I'm hopeful that's not a problem. Force recomp T5642.hs plus RTS-S. Now I run it over here. Ooh, and look at that. That's a really big difference, right? This is 324 million, and this is 294 million. So clearly my patch is causing a problem. The only difference between these two is my patch. Okay, so now what's next? Well, I know generally what my patch did. It made a change to the type checker. And so my next step is going to be, I can run the type checker in sort of a mode where I get to watch what happens in the type checker. So let me try that and see if anything interesting comes out. Oh, how do I get the previous? Oh, I could just hit up in this terminal. Excellent. So 5642, I'm going to do ddump tc trace, and then that should show me a lot of fun things. But first, how do I do this? Is this going to work? No. This is me not knowing Emacs. I normally just use a terminal window instead of doing everything in Emacs. But I figured that was not as good for you all. Let's just go ahead with that. Oh, yuck. This is going to take forever. This is going super slow. This is going to take literally forever. Can't deal with that. Oh, and I can't even stop it from happening. Oh, no. Oh, no. Stop, Emacs. Stop. Kill terminal. Go away. Yes, kill it. Okay. This just isn't working out. I'm going to de-maximize and just use terminal windows. But let me make a new little desktop space over here and move things over here. Excuse the mess while I'm fussing about. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to re-maximize this. So I'm going to come over here and then let me grab a terminal window from off screen. Here it is. That's probably very small for you all, so let's make it much bigger. That's probably okay. Oh, it's keeping on going. Okay, that's definitely big enough, but it would help if I could spell. So I'm SSHing into Twig has this beefy build server that's going to be doing all of the hard work here. Okay, so let's go into GHC perf, test suite, tests. Things will now work a little bit better. Perf, compiler, and then we're going to say GHC perf, in place bin, GHC stage 2, force, recomp, T5642. Okay, does this do a thing? It does a thing. Excellent. And then now let's run the type checker in trace mode. So this will happen hopefully quite a bit quicker than it would have happened elsewise. And so when this is done running, this tells me everything that the type checker does. So whatever file I'm giving it is clearly rather complicated, right? This is a perf test, so this is still gonna take some time. I suppose I could have just piped this to an output file, but usually it doesn't quite take this long, even outside of Emacs. But I really want to let this run to completion so that I can then look through it to see if the new thing I've put into the type checker is even triggered. Right, because if it is, then that could explain why it does so much work. But if it isn't triggered, then it can sort of reduce the amount of stuff I have to look at. Okay, this is taking an obnoxiously long time. I'm getting bored. You must be just crying out of boredom over there. So I'm going to stop this. It can't stop? Oh, okay, it stopped. And let's look for break. Break does not appear, but I'm pretty sure that's the magic thing to look for. So let me look in the code here. This is in my GHC tree. I want to look in solver canonical, and let's see, break tyvar cycle. So if it's done anything interesting, then it would go into here, breaking a cycle. That's when it does extra work. But it doesn't seem to have actually done that. Let me try this one more time, but I'm actually this time going to do the intelligent thing and pipe it into a file, which hopefully shouldn't take so terribly, terribly long if it doesn't have to render it to my screen. But my suspicion is, in the end, that this is not going to be the interesting thing. That we'll end up having to discover that it's really like not doing the extra work it's supposed to, but something that it normally does is taking longer. So how do I search this file? What do I say? grep break output. Okay, so the word break does not appear. Just to make sure, grep finish output. Okay. Can LHS finish can't make it canonical. Maybe that's important, or maybe that was true beforehand. I suppose I could test that theory. How would I test that theory? I would run this thing again, but instead of GHC perf, I would run master perf. Now, I know I'm still in the GHC perf directory, but it doesn't matter. So this is going to be master output. And let's see. So now this is the one, does this have this finish thing? We will see in a moment, hopefully. Interesting, this seems to be taking longer. Wonder why. This is the one that should be faster. Incidentally, the reason that this is so slow has nothing to do with my computer, because this is all on this build server. So now I want to grep in master output to see, oh well, I have to spell it correctly, don't I? So this stayed the same between the two. So I think, I could pursue this more, but I don't think that's going to be very interesting. So it clearly is some function that I'm calling, but this break tyvar cycle, here, that's called all the time. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't. I happen to know that's defined in GHC TC solver monad. Let's take a look at break tyvar cycle. Maybe. And it does this check. That should probably be kind of quick. This might be, a little bit different, but probably not very. I don't think this is where the problem is. I bet the problem is in the fact that I really refactored check type eq. That's much more likely the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a profiled compiler. So let me use remote editing in Emacs here to edit. Okay, so we're going to go into GHC. Now we're going to go into master prof, not perf, but this is the profiled build. And compiler, GHC, TC. We're about to be joined by a friend here, maybe. My cat Alice is coming to say hello, probably because she's hungry for dinner. Let's see, so TC, this was in, what have I done? Solver, this is in monad, no, it's not. It's in utils unify. It's funny how your brain doesn't work quite as well when you're presenting as it does when you're not presenting. Okay, check type eq. So I want to see if check type eq is running into trouble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in an SCC here, which means that now GHC is going to track all the bytes that are allocated underneath check type eq. So one small problem is that this actually will run into trouble with inlining. This might actually interfere with optimizations. So after I do this, I have to check to make sure that the regression is still witnessed. But anyway, so I have this, and then let me also do this. This is in, this is very silly of me. I'm in my local file. That's not going to do anyone any good. I need to go to the remote file. I thought I was there, but somehow I'm not. So I'm going to need GHC prof, compiler, GHC, TC, utils, unify. It's thinking very hard. Okay, so now I'm going to look in check type eq, and I'm going to set that SCC. Hopefully that will work. Let me now recompile. That's over here. So now I need to go to GHC, GHC prof, and then rebuild. Okay, so now it's rebuilding the profiled unify. Okay, good, that worked. Whoops, wrong way. And now I need to do the same idea, but over in master prof. You have to be very careful that we're actually not chasing chimeras, right? We have to, every little step, we have to make sure that the regression still stays around. It does take extra time, but it's so necessary if we want to get actual good result, as opposed to spending a long time chasing down a problem that doesn't really exist. Okay, so here we're going to set the same SCC, so now we can compare apples to apples. Okay, that worked. Now we're going to create a new terminal window and make it nice and big. Okay, that's not as big as the other one, but I bet it's big enough. SSH over to Twig, which takes some time. Okay, and then we go into GHC master prof, and then we're going to rebuild that as well. Okay, and now it's thinking. Good. Okay, I'm going to make a new tab and SSH into Twig once again. We're going to need this over here too. May as well get that going. Okay, so now we go into master prof, into the test suite, tests, perf, compiler, and now we're going to run GHC master prof in place bin, GHC, whoops, stage 2 on our test case, 5642. We want to make sure to recompile, but now I'm going to do plus RTS-P to actually generate a profile. So this hopefully created something that's named after the executable I'm profiling, which in this case is GHC stage 2.prof. Excellent. And I'm going to look up check type. Well, first off, actually before I do that, let's do this look for chimeras thing. So here, let's cd into, this is GHC prof, test suite, tests, perf, compiler. Now we're going to do GHC prof, in place, bin, GHC, stage 2, force recomp, 5642, RTS-P over here. Okay, so now this created a separate GHC stage 2.prof. And the big question is the total, do we see the regression? Aha, yes we do. So this one sees 294 bytes, this sees 323 million bytes. So we still have the regression, but now we have to see how many bytes are allocated under check type eq. So check type eq does a whole bunch of things. So if I make this wider, we can probably get a slightly better display here. We make it smaller. Whoops, that's bigger. I want smaller, not bigger. And then I can make this wider. Okay, interesting. So check type eq is taking up 8.8% of the allocations in that one function in my version with the patch. Let's also make this wider. And let's look check type eq over here. And that didn't even make sort of the top 10 or whatever it is. That here, this check type eq is 0. Let's see, there's various different check type eqs. It barely even registers. So that's a smoking gun if I ever saw one. So something I did in check type eq means it's working a lot harder in the new version than in the old version. Okay, so that's already really informative. So let's look. This is GHC prof, very important to double check this. So this is doing clearly a lot more work. Let me bring up the old one over here and just see if by inspection I can spot a difference. So there's this stuff up here, but that's not interesting. I know what that is. That's not interesting. Now I happen to know that the old one short circuits where the new one does not short circuit, and that could in fact be the problem. In fact, I think that's quite likely the problem. Now I'm wondering if I have a version of my patch that doesn't short circuit, but that does all of the other stuff. So what this was is that this was an attempt to sort of merge multiple functions into one. But of course, doing that meant that the one it couldn't, previously it short circuited, but now it can't anymore. I wonder. So here, go awk in the new version recurs using check ty var eq, whereas in the old version, it just did this tycovars of type. This old version, I can't do it. It's wrong, the way that the new one is written. But even though it's wrong, I'm going to do it anyway, just to see if it fixes the performance trouble, because I think that will be informative. So let's comment out the old version. Now we have this new version. Oh, I can't use CTE OK. I have to do something else. What do I have to do? What was it previously? Oh, CTER from kind, blah. I want to just say, I'm just going to say here, insoluble occurs. And then this is now CTE OK. There's a chance that will compile. Let's try. That was this first tab over here, make 2. Does that even compile? Does it? Really? Haha. Excellent. Okay, so this should be faster. This is sort of short-circuiting in an interesting way. And let's see if this actually solves the problem. Okay, there we are. Okay, so now I'm going to rerun now that I've made that change. And let's look at the profile. And now if I look at check type eq, aha! So check type eq still takes a bunch of time, 2.7% time, but look at that. It went from 8.8 allocations to none. That is remarkable. So that means that, now that actually really surprises me. So that means that all of its work is, or all of the allocations that it's doing is in that one spot. That's very surprising. And in fact, I bet a lie. I have a hard time believing that because it does all of this other work. In this case, I guess what this is triggering, this triggers every single variable occurrence. And now that I look at it, this whole thing is very silly. This means that every variable occurrence, we do a whole lot of work, but we repeat it each time. Because every variable occurrence, it means we're going to sort of look in its kind. Shouldn't I just be able to look in the kind just once? Every time I look in the kind, it's not going to be any different. And so I should be able to look in the kind just once and then never do it again. And so if as I'm working, I built up a mapping from variables to the result of recurring in its kind, then I should just be able to look up in that mapping and not have to repeat work. That's clearly a good idea. Well, not clearly, right? Because of course I had to build the map and such. I'm going to give that a try. Am I going to do that live on camera? I don't think I am going to do that live on camera because that's going to take some time and that's going to be a little bit boring perhaps. So let me turn this off for now and then I think more later. But hopefully this will yield some interesting results. Okay, so here we are on a new day after thinking about this problem a little bit. And I realized that in the check, let's go back to where the check was, that it did a whole lot of checking for things, right? There were sort of 5 different points here that it was checking, but actually one of them is only used in one very particular place, and it turns out to be really easy to replace. So I replaced that one check with this line here. So this extracts out all of the types all of the type constructors used in a type, and just sees if any of them is a type family. We have to do something different. And that means that we don't have to check this any other place. So this might improve performance a little bit. I wanted to give that a try. So I've just prepared this on my local machine. It compiles. I've checked that much. But now I'm going to push this to the remote machine and then compile there, and we'll see how things go. So let's see. I need yet another terminal window, one that's on my local machine here. Let's make this bigger. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to go into here, status, and this should be, okay, good. This is exactly what oh, yes, this is the new line that oh no, this isn't the new line. This is the thing I've removed. That's fine. This is the right patch. Just wanted to check. So let's add that and commit. Separate out TF check. This we'll get nicer commit messages later. And I will push to my branch. And then now here, oh, I'm sure I have all sorts of broken pipes. Let me unbreak my pipes. Let's see, what do I have to click here? That's good. Okay. Okay, so now I'm here. The push looks like it succeeded. Let me go into, what was this? This was going to be GHC. And here I want to look at perf, right? Because I want to see, I want to make sure that I want to see what the change is in behavior. So let me go straight into test suite, tests perf compiler, and I'm going to run GHC perf in place, bin GHC stage 2 to see what's going on here. So this is T5642, and we're going to force recompilation, and I want to get statistics. Okay, so it runs, and we see here 324 million bytes. Now I'm going to pull, recompile. Let's do this in a different tab. So we're now going to go GHC perf. Wow, it's still pushing. My computer is not up to this task. Come on. It looks like if it got this far, the push probably succeeded. So let me pull here. Oh, blah. I want FF only. Oh, now it's thinking. Oh, good. Fast forward. Excellent. And that's the right patch. But now I need to rebuild, so this might take a moment. Okay, that took quite some time. But we're done. That's good. Let's see now. So we've recompiled everything. And are we any faster with the new one? So let's run it. And let's see. So now we're at 328 million instead of 324 million. So actually that was clearly a bad idea, which is a bit of a surprise that that's a bad idea, because it seems like a pretty good idea. Because we should be doing much less work now. But I guess it means an extra traversal and building up this Tycon structure, but it clearly made a difference in the wrong direction. So let's roll that back. That was a bad idea. So how can I roll that back? I want to say git reset hard head up. Okay, so that was a bad idea. Let me try another idea, because that's how we have to fix these things, is just by trying different ideas. So I want to edit the unify in GHC perf. If I refresh this is just going to take a moment. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, that's because I rolled it back on my machine, but not on the remote machine. So let me also roll it back on the remote machine. Git, well, I guess I can do the same command here. Okay, so there we go. Let me, actually I don't want to start that recompiling because I'm going to make an edit here. So hopefully if I refresh, that goes away. Yes, it does. Excellent. Okay, so another idea that I had to try to fix this is we discovered earlier that there was this funny go awk, and go awk was causing lots and lots of allocation. And so let's see what happens if we live without go awk. So what I want to do, or not live without it, but if we maybe do it slightly better. So I have this recur via check tyvarek for better inlining. It turns out that when I thought about it a little bit, this just isn't true. So I'm going to kill that comment and, more importantly, kill the code and just call go. We have this function go, and maybe that will lead to better inlining, and maybe that will make an improvement. I don't know. But now we can go back here, and I can go here and recompile, and then we can see what we get. This is in fact probably a little bit more intelligent than the last thing I tried, which was just a real stab in the dark. This is, we observed that there was a particular problem around this go awk. So trying to modify that is probably a good idea. Oh, and now we see there is a defined but not used TV. Well, yes, that's true. So let's get rid of the TV here, and then at call sites, go away, go away, go away. Okay. Good. Save and try that again. Okay, after a lot of building, let's see where we are. Click here. Okay, so that was 328 million. Now this is one where I use go instead of check type eq. Let's give that a try. Wow! That made the difference. We're at 294. Haha. It's really that easy? Well, I'll have to give it a try. But in master. But that is bizarre. Let me just look at the code again to see if I can get any insight into why that would be. So if that calls check, so previously the slow code, oh yes, there's all these extra variables. The slow code called check tyvarek, which is up here, and that's no inline, and then it has to create that thing. I wonder if all of the work is just done creating that. Oh wow. Okay, so having solved the problem, let's actually commit this and then see if that works. So what do I want to do here? So here I have the change. I think there's just that is just this tiny little change. Yes. And so I'm going to add and commit and use go not check tyvarek. And then now if I push, something weird's going to happen because I did a reset, I think. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to push force. And then hopefully in a little while, we'll see that the performance problems have gone away. So let me recap a little bit. What have we done here? What have we learned? So one thing is, setting things up. We do need all of these different trees, right? So I didn't use the ticky trees this time, but we had the profiled trees so that I could narrow down where the problem was. I learned that it was in this check type eq function quite quickly. And so that was helpful. And then I needed a perf build so that I could actually verify that things are working. It turned out I didn't use master perf here, but maybe I could have done experiments there as well. And then it just takes a little bit of inspiration. Performance debugging is hard. Anyway, I hope this has been interesting. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.